Austerity may be bad for your health. That's what scientists at Oxford and Stanford universities have discovered. They say spending cuts and mass layoffs across Europe and North America are fueling a spike in suicide and depression. Academics behind the study believe the global financial crisis has caused as many as 10,000 people to take their own lives. Let's get more now from Dr. David Stuckler of Oxford University, who's leading the research into the impact of austerity economics on public health. Thanks for joining us. So the situation was already extremely difficult for millions because of the economy. Why have you singled out austerity as a factor in terms of this health issues?
What we've seen in studying recessions over the past century, and with a focus on the present crisis, is that recessions hurt, but when politicians respond with deep cuts to vital social supports, they can turn those recessions lethal. In the worst case, we've seen Greece. After it cut its malaria prevention budgets, we saw a return of outbreaks that the country had kept under control for the past 4 decades. We've seen HIV infections spike by over 200% at a time when the HIV budget was cut. Similarly, we've seen across Europe austerity breed a series of epidemics, from suicide to foregone access to healthcare to tuberculosis outbreaks and even dengue fever.
Now, according to your theory, countries that didn't pursue austerity cuts, and say Iceland, should be doing much better in health terms than those that did. Is that the case?
That's a very good point, because Iceland suffered the worst banking crisis in history. All of its biggest banks failed, and its debt jumped to over 800% of GDP. But its people voted against austerity and instead shored up support in its health system. No one lost access to health care, and in fact, this country, which was once the happiest society in the world, again in 2011 was ranked as the happiest society in the world.
All right, so 10,000 people, that's a lot. What do you think is the likely reaction from governments around the world to that, and how do you think they should react?
So far, Europe's leaders have been in denial about the human costs of the austerity policies that have been pursued across Europe and soon in North America with the sequester recently passed. And what we need to do is take into account the health effects of economic policies. Had austerity been run like any other drug trial, it would have been discontinued because of its deadly side effects.
Now, many leaders claim that by making these cuts is the only way to end the crisis. Do you think, what's your opinion on that?
Well, first, the tuberculosis outbreaks, for example, that New York suffered in the mid-90s, ended up costing millions to control. So austerity in health is a false economy. But also, we've looked at something called the fiscal multiplier. This is the effect of government spending on the economy. It's been the subject of much debate lately. And what we found is that investments in health and education as well are two of the best channels with large and positive fiscal multipliers that boost employment and spending power and help spur recovery. If you are going to make cuts, there are other areas that have less damaging effects on the economy. So there's an economic argument for protecting health, not only for its long-term social and health benefits, but also as a strategy to spur recovery.
All right, Dr. David Stuckler from Oxford University, thanks for your time.